miracle serums. Miracle serums.
We keep having all these problems. How we gonna solve them? Every day it's the same thing. All these unsolved issues, I guess it's official. Here we go again, the same old thing. And I'm tired of arguing and lying. So goodbye.
Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is September the 25th, 2024, and today the topic is discernment. Happy Wednesday. It's Happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful Tuesday. Mine was just fine. Yes, mine was good overall. Listen, y'all. Okay, y'all already know that your girl did not go live yesterday. I did not feel led to give y'all no juice yesterday. That don't mean I didn't study, and that don't mean that the Lord didn't tell me a thing or two. But once again, I didn't feel led to come to y'all. So I don't know if this is a brand new thing or if this is gonna be regular or what. But I know I was kind of seeking God about that this morning. I was like, Lord, am I falling short? Am I losing my momentum, or are you allowing me to have these quote unquote breaks and stuff like that? And I felt led that, having breaks and whatnot is important. And I feel like perhaps that's what the Lord is having me to do. Only come and talk when he leads me to. So yeah. And maybe, just maybe, he might be building up my discernment. Speaking of that, there was a lot of things on my heart and mind this morning. I woke up at 4:01, I think. I think that's what time I ended up getting up this morning, and looked up in verses around that. There was quite a few themes that were standing out to me, like open door, living water, and even the questions that I was just sharing with you a minute ago about like my personal questions about like, well, Lord, am I slipping or tripping, but ultimately, a lot of the conversation this morning kind of led me to this path of discernment. And, I feel led to like rest in between when I was getting, the juice and stuff. So I know that it's like 9 something right now when I'm recording. But like I said, I was up ever since like 4 something, receiving juice, resting, and things of that nature. And so here I am now to give the juice. And when I decided to go ahead and start writing things down, I was like, okay, Lord, what is it that you want me to talk about? He brought that word discernment to my heart and mind. And y'all know, who knows how many juices I got about discernment, because I'm pretty sure that I done talked about discernment at least one time, but and with discernment being such a quote unquote biblical word, right? I know that, who knows, man, if you look up God, Sex, and Love and then discernment, there might be plenty of juices talking about this. But I always approach the Bible in this conversation of the juice like I've never seen it before. You know what I mean? That's how I usually come to the studies that I do in the morning times. I usually, ask questions as if I've never heard of these words before, or, seeking more wisdom in that way, in that, I guess, that childlike way, right? And so, I'm sure today's conversation about discernment is going to be unique, just as any other of the past conversations about discernment was unique in their particular day. And that's another thing too, as I was thinking this morning and, praying about, again, just pretty much seeking the Lord about, is this on purpose, these breaks that I've been taking, or is it, me just kind of, again, losing momentum and things of that nature? I guess I started to, think about all the consistent juice that is there. There's thousands of videos on our channel right now. And not to say that, again, God can give me juice every day and have me talk about something different every day and something new every day, or have something to say to me every day and through me every day, because we've seen it happening since April 1st, 2020. However, I think a lot of the times maybe he's like, let them reflect on what you've already done. I kind of feel that way sometimes. Like, and I know yesterday, I think the only thing we did upload, if it was yesterday, it was an update on Allie, which always tends to get views and things like that. But my whole thing is like, well, as long as the message is getting out there and more people are being aware of the evils of human trafficking and what's happening to kids under our noses, and we might not be able to do anything about the global pandemic of human trafficking, but the least we can do is watch out for our own kids, watch out for the kids in the neighborhood, you know approach or deal with the issues that are going on in our families and our communities, that are along those lines of pedophilia and trafficking and all that type of stuff. And then hopefully it will make a dent into this huge issue that is going on across the world, and I guess the big business of it. But that's a whole nother conversation. If y'all haven't seen her recent video and whatnot, we did share it in her album, or in her playlist, the Allie Carter playlist that we have on the channel. Thank you to those that are watching and sharing, and I hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired to do something. Do your part. Whatever the Lord is leading you to do. And again, if you're not familiar with Allie, you always can go to alliesarmy.com and learn more about her and what has been going on, what has happened to her. And like I said, we have a whole playlist dedicated to interviews that we did with her, as well as interviews that she encouraged people to share, and things of that nature. So, to God be the glory that people are waking up. Eyes are being opened to these issues. But anywho, I think, that was the only thing that we did post yesterday. Or whatever. But anyway, I'm back here today and we're talking about discernment, y'all. So let's get into it. Discernment means the ability to judge well. I hate to keep coming on here talking about this, but I feel like it's just that important that God keeps bringing it up, how we need to have discernment. We need to have the ability to judge things well. I know people like to talk about the Bible. They're like, oh, you can't judge me. Only God can judge me. But then somehow again, the Bible also tells us about having discernment, so yeah, judgment, is something that we all can do. But we have to have righteous judgment, right? We have to have discernment, to know again what's right and wrong, good and evil. And I know I've told you guys multiple times at this point that it's sad sometimes to think about, where we are now and where, and I'm saying where we are as believers, because on one hand we say we believe, but then on the other hand, it seems like our discernment is off. It seems like we're not seeing or acknowledging the big picture, and things of that nature. And I often feel like, well, Lord, who am I? And I know at some point I even asked that. I was like, well, why me, Lord? You know what I mean? Because I think about my circle of influence, X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, well, one, I don't even know like who's really watching, you know what I'm saying, and who's really listening and stuff like that. And every now and then I get confirmation and people, share with me, what they receive from, the things that I'm doing here. But I guess the thing is you don't have to know, uh, you know, what impact you're making. It's just more important to be obedient. That's what I was receiving this morning. So here I am doing my best to be obedient. So let's get into this conversation about discernment, y'all. I only wrote down a few verses that were standing out to me to share. And the first one was John 4:1, which is interesting because I told you guys I woke up at 4:01. So it was one of those verses that, came across in my search when I did Google Bible in 4:01. This is what it says: Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. I mean, it's not an unfamiliar verse, very familiar. I know I've shared it here multiple times, and I know any Bible believing, Bible reading person, you may have come across this verse that tells us to test the spirits. Now, I know it's an interesting thing to do that, because sometimes I feel like I see and read between the lines on people as I guess practice and build this discernment thing. And it's just very interesting, like when you're actually testing the spirits for real. And maybe people can do that with me as well. I'm not sitting here trying to act like I'm perfect and nothing like that. I mean, I told you guys again a few months ago, I was falling short in some areas where, what spirit was leading me, you know what I'm saying, in those moments and things like that. And so, but at the same time too, I could definitely see some growth and maturity in me when it comes to my I guess discernment, and as well as like and how I handle certain situations and things like that. And that's a blessing, man. I don't know if it was just the 2 times of fasting this year that I felt God led to do. Or if it's just, again, just growth and maturity across the board. But it's important for us to test the spirits, not just going around and believing everything we see and hear, especially in these days and times. I know there was in the group, let's be clear, shout out to Miss Denise, former regular here on the GSL platform. She has this group called Let's Be Clear. I know I've told you guys about it multiple times, regular listeners, but for those that might be new or whatever the case may be, it's a group on Facebook where they pose different questions or add in different scenarios to spark conversation about different things. Sometimes they come from a biblical perspective. Most of the time, the people don't. But anywho, and there was this post that she shared recently that was talking about, it was like a man that I guess was going viral for saying that he was okay with women that had children already, because ultimately because he knew that they were women. um and people of course got things to say about that, but I mean, I don't blame them, right? And these days and times, you need discernment, right? You need to know, like, who you're dealing with, and things of that nature, because people are out here changing birth certificates, right? People are out here getting surgeries and things that make them look really, really close, right, to a woman, and things of that nature, and vice versa, right? And so who can blame the man? You know what I'm saying? Who wants to know, like, okay, if she was able to give birth, then that's a natural woman. Because in these days and times, I mean, again, you need discernment, right? And so that's just one example. But friends, I mean, again, let's think about this on the spiritual level. Let's think about this, every day when we're dealing with, friends and family, whatever the case may be. We need to be testing the spirits, making sure they're of God, and moving accordingly. All right. Let me give you guys another verse. Hebrews 5:14. It says, but solid food is for the mature, for those who have their powers of discernment trained by constant practice to distinguish good from evil. Listen, I don't know if some of us is missing our practices or what, friends, but I mean, listen, this discernment thing, it's comes with training and practice. It's not that we're now, maybe some might have some gift or something like that. Maybe God gave the gift of discernment to maybe like kids or something like that, and you grew up with it or something. But for those of us that need to train and practice, there's nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and train and practice. Like I said, even with what I'm going through, and this probably is the reason why. Um, coming when I feel led to say something, and not coming when I don't feel led to say something. I got into a habit and practice of coming here every day and sharing inspiration. But again, like, would it be wise for me to come here without saying and doing what the Lord wants me to say and do? Come here and just making something up every day? Or actually listen to God and come when he got something for me to say? Again, that there could be, I say for that alone, God could have been like, all right, Miracle, don't do it today. And then if I had came and did something anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, how impactful would that be? How encouraging and inspiring would that be, right? But there are times, or there have been times in the past where, I would come and I would talk about whatever the Lord leads me to talk about, and someone would come and say, hey, this hit home for me right now, or this is what I needed to hear, or things of that nature. And I didn't have any clue, right, about them or anything. All I'm doing is being obedient to what the Lord is having me do, right? And so, again, it's important for us to, again, train, and what was the other word? Because I don't want to misquote here. To train and to practice. Train and practice this thing of discernment. It's like lifting weights, as they say. You know, so again, practice in your daily life, right? Practice with small stuff, and then eventually you'll start to, I guess, your discernment will be built more when it comes to the bigger stuff. Let me go ahead and give you guys this. I think it's this last verse that I felt led to write down about this conversation, and it is John 7:24. It says, "Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment." at the end of the day, I think it was right before I was getting ready to write down that verse. It just reminded me about the verse about even the devil comes as an angel of light. Matter of fact, I think that the last time I was here wasn't yesterday, but the day before yesterday. So Monday, I think that was one of the verses I wrote down. I can't remember right now. Yeah, I don't see it at the moment. Oh, here it is. Yep, found it. 2 Corinthians 11:14. It says, "And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light." So again, this is why the discernment is so important, friends. The enemy is out here, making it look like he is, a positive influence, right? He's making it look like, oh, I'm an angel of light. I'm doing this for good and things of that nature. And so then we get confused because we're like, well, how can this be? It's just for good. They doing this for good. They just want to do this, or it ain't that bad, X, Y, and Z. And the next thing you know, the rug's being pulled off from under you, and your freedoms are being taken here in America, and all these different type of things where you're like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna be like that. And it's like, nah, if you had discernment, if you was building it up and practicing and doing what the Lord tells us to do, and listening to him, right, versus anything else, then you would have recognized the enemy, right? But y'all, that's the juice. Y'all go forth. Hopefully the Lord has encouraged you and inspired you to go deeper. There's plenty of verses that you guys can go deeper with. Matter of fact, there were so many that I didn't even write none of them down. I just said go to OpenBible.info and plug in that word discernment. And read whatever the Lord is leading you to read and study in regards to this conversation about discernment. But let me leave you guys with the Bible verse of today, and that is Psalm 139:10. It says, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. There you go. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Anybody listening to the sound of my voice, hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing all those wonderful things. If you care about my day yesterday, I just ran some errands, met up with one of the ladies from the church. We had like lunch, dinner. And just did school with NJ. So those are the main highlights from yesterday. By the time I had done all that, because it was like gone all day, I felt like in the morning time, and we did all that stuff, I came back and I was tired. And then I fell asleep. I heard Dario come in and stuff like that. And then when I did wake back up, he was gone. Him and NJ was gone. So they went to some meeting or something that he had to do. And that left me with some mommy time. So I just kind of, was watching a little something, eating little snacks and, just having a little bit of time to unwind. So that's what my day looked like yesterday. Today is going to be kind of busy as well. Got school for NJ. He has to do his what they call JBQ, which is Junior Bible Quiz. And then Madam Miraculous is going to be at the church with the child care tonight. And that's what my Wednesday is supposed to look like. But we'll see. But yeah, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And I look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye.